Information to help you run your business better and improve your marketing campaigns. My name is Hank Hoffmeier, and thank you for joining me on Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. Welcome to episode 231 of the Hmbt podcast. Following suit, I have another guest with me today. This is going very well. I have a lot of guests lined up that I met in the Facebook group I mentioned last week, and things are going well. I'm getting excited reading all of the guest submittals and forms that people have been filling out to be on the show. So there's a variety of different types of speakers that have knowledge in different areas coming on. Today I have with me Mona Tenjo. She is the co-founder and CEO of Work on Your Business. We're going to get into what she does because it's related to the business name and you probably know what it is. But Mona, thanks for coming on today. Appreciate you being here. You are from Germany, so there's a 5 or 6 hour difference between us. 7 a.m. for me, therefore I'm drinking my coffee and still waking up. But you've been at it for a while now and you've been working on your business, but I'm just getting started. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and enjoy your coffee, of course.
Great. So what you do pretty much is you help people be productive. And in today's environment with the pandemic going on, people are going crazy. They're stressed out. Some people working more than ever. Some people are not working at all. There's entrepreneurs that are probably looking to just get started now or maybe in a few months, and some that are really struggling now, and maybe they've had some employees and they had to get rid of them or not get rid of them, but lay them off or furlough them, which is sad, and we feel for you. But what we want to talk about today is how can you be productive, whether or not you're affected by the pandemic. Mona's going to give us some tips on what to do. How do you remain productive when maybe you have to wear 5, 6 different hats, or if you're just wearing one, but you're really working in your business rather than growing it on your business. Mona, what are some things that people do that they should stop doing, or what are some things people need to start doing to be more productive?
Yes, that's a great question. Thanks a lot for asking that. It is really important that you know what is really generating profit. I mean, at the end of the day, each business only exists because you earn money. And so the main orientation on what is work on your business is what makes you money. And that's the things you should be working on. So what I see a lot as a mistake is many people start answering 20,000 emails during the day. You can do that in the evening. They don't run anywhere. They still be there when you are going to go home in the evening. It's not running anywhere. So you should really use the day to reach people that you want to talk to. Because connections is really one of the most important things that is monetizing the fastest. People who trust you, people who need you. So currently in this pandemic, the most important thing you should be doing is stay in touch with your customers. Reach out to people that you talked to in the past that wanted to have your support but put it on hold, and start to talk to them and use your day activities solely to do that. Because that is really something you can't do in the evening, because then they're in bed. So you don't want to ring people when they're sleeping already, especially with time differences.
Right. I love how you said do things that generate profit. I think that's one of the best phrases I've heard in a while when it comes to being a business owner, because there are so many things that can bog you down. And if you just look at it and say, hey, can I or am I making money off of this? No, it can wait till later. And I'm one of those people that try to return client emails right away. And maybe what you do is you look for those emails and you triage them, but you'll probably have a lot of spam. You'll have a lot of things that you can follow up with in the evenings or even the next day. So thank you for saying that. So let's continue. That was great. Let's see what else you got in the bag.
And I mean, honestly, even with the emails, I mean, people want to have a response, yes, but people also know that you are working. So I think it's totally fine to put an autoresponder in, especially when you know you're maybe busy the full day. You can just put an autoresponder and say, hey guys, I'm working right now, I'm in client meetings or whatever. I'm going to get back. I mean, this is something I even used to do when I worked in corporate many years ago. We had to put in, like when I was in a day workshop and I was the trainer, I had to put in a thing, hey, I'm training today. I'm going to only come back in the evening or maybe tomorrow morning. And then they are fine. If they know that you're not available, that's totally okay for people. They just want to know what's the next step and when do you get back to them. That's all they want to know. So autoresponders are a great way to do that and to let people know. Another thing I think that really suffers for many people right now is something that is really hurting people a lot. It's the home office. I think many people are not used to work that long in the home office. Right. I mean, for me, it was really funny because when the quarantine in Germany started, for me, nothing changed. So everybody was complaining. I was like, for me, I'm feeling like I'm quarantined for that entire year already. And I really had, I mean, I only got it when I had to go shopping, and then I realized, okay, now I have to wear a mask. That's the only difference. So for most people, that is really challenging, especially I think also in America, I'm not really sure how the situation is, but in Germany, we had to do homeschooling. It's for Germans something we're not used to do. Like we don't have a homeschooling concept at all. In America, it's maybe a little bit more common, but for us, this is a no-go. Like parents teaching their kids, like how can you do that?
Yeah,
Many parents don't know how to teach.
I was talking to you earlier about how we visited Germany a few years ago. We loved it so much. And I said, hey, if we ever moved, would this be an area you'd want to move? I was talking to my wife and she said, absolutely not. And I was thrown back. I said, why? She's like, because they don't allow homeschooling and we have to homeschool. We love that Germany's central in Europe where you can get anywhere, pretty quickly. She said, maybe we can live in like a border town, one of the countries that border Germany, and just always frequently go into Germany. I thought that was funny.
No, it's very true. We have 2 hours pretty much from everywhere in Europe, so it's really, really cool. But we do not have homeschooling, and so many parents, and I mean, I think there are different scenarios you have to look at. I mean, if you are a married couple or a partners, in a relationship with children, then you can of course keep you can keep each other's bag free for some time. So that is the easiest scenario. It depends on the age of the children. So if you are a single parent and you have children who are a little bit older, they understand that as well. So then you can also work. If you have small children, and usually, I mean, the border depends a little bit on how fast the child is understanding it. So I remember my mom used to also work from home. She was an architect and she was doing her whole plans and drawings and everything from home. And I remember when I was 6 years old, she had a very important telephone conference. By that time, landline and everything. So it was many, many years ago. So we were like playing outside and she was telling me, because I was the eldest, she was like, okay, listen, this is really, really important. Please do not come in until this paper is removed from the door. She forgot to remove it at the end, but it doesn't matter. So we were hungry later on, we knocked at the door. But I understood it. I was 6 years old, I understood it. My younger brothers, of course, I had to keep them away because they didn't get it. But I mean, that depends a little bit on the child. But let's say below 3 years, you have no chance. Below 3 years, the child won't just understand that. 4, 5, 6 depends, but starting from 8, they should definitely start understanding it. And then it really depends if you are a single parent with a child under 3 years. I would just always recommend my clients, just don't worry. If your child screams, it screams, let it scream. You can't do anything about, I mean, you have children yourself, so I think you know how that is, right?
Yeah. I worry about it, and my son's very energetic and very vocal. I have to remind him a lot of times, hey, I'm on an important call, but it's okay. There's people on calls I'm on where their children come in or their dogs. My dogs bark every time the delivery guy comes, and it's just going to happen. If it wasn't around this pandemic, people might not be as understanding, and maybe I would mute more. But yeah, I'm finding myself unmuting more and more, and staying just natural, like we are now. If my dog barks, they bark. One of them barks, or if my kids are still sleeping, probably if they wake up, they might say something loud, and you know what? It's going to happen.
Absolutely. This is what I tell my clients, just relax. I mean, people are people, they understand that. I think what is important in that scenario, especially when you have very young children, you will have certain time pockets. So, I mean, my mom always used to say, if you know your child really well, you know how the rhythm of a child is, because they have certain rhythms, and you know that after lunch, maybe they are sleepy. So exactly. You know that there are certain pockets where you can work efficiently because you know, okay, in the next half an hour, they're sleeping. So you need to use those pockets very efficiently. So you need to know exactly when you know, okay, that pocket hits, you have to, like, you cannot start looking like, okay, what am I going to do now? Now you have to have a list ready. Okay, task number 1 is the most important thing that has to get done. So as soon as you have a pocket, you switch out and you say, okay, number 1, right now on it, and don't stop until you finish, right. Unless, of course, your child disturbs you. But that's another thing. But yeah, you have to really use that time that you have much, much more efficiently by knowing exactly what is that thing. And then you shouldn't start looking for emails or going right. on social media. You should really start working really focused on what you're working on, and then you can still achieve a lot.
Right. And I love that gesture you made, like you were writing something. And I've always learned, and I've always heard, if you don't write down a goal, it's a wish. You're gonna, you wish you got Absolutely. It done. But if you write it down, you're really committing to it. And I like to tie micro commitments to a larger goal, just and say, hey, there's my larger goal. But if I get this, and this done, it helps support that. I think that helps you get those little wins in those pockets too, because maybe it's a short pocket, you can't get that whole goal done, but if you can get some of those subtasks done and cross those off, that would actually help you as well. And for folks on
Absolutely.
audio, she was just, mimicking like she was writing a goal. I guess that's ingrained in her minds. If I have a goal, I have a task, I'm going to write it down, because otherwise I'll forget about it, or it's not real.
Honestly, I mean, actually, it's something many people might say that's unproductive, but I do write everything. I mean, even when we spoke up front, I was taking notes, because I used to be a project manager for more than 15 years, and it's like, I mean, I can write it on my computer, but to be very honest, if I wrote it on my computer, I can't remember it. If I wrote it with my own hand, I can remember exactly on which paper it was, at which part of the corner. I can remember that. So with my own handwriting, I can really remember things much, much better. So that's my personal thing. So it's really ingrained that I have to write things down.
Right. What are your thoughts on, if you have employees, delegating work out to them so that you can work on your business and do those profit generating things, but maybe now you had to let go some folks, or you're just getting started? What are your thoughts on using virtual assistants to, say, go through your email, to do mundane tasks, post on social media, edit documents? What do you think of using a virtual assistant? So this is like a two-part question. Number one, do you think it's a good idea? And then number two, what would you say to people if you do think it's a good idea, as far as like, oh, I can't afford that?
Yeah. I definitely think it's a good idea, especially when you are really busy. I mean, if you're just starting out and you still have a lot of time left, you can do everything yourself. That's very clear. And I think in the beginning, you should do it yourself, to be very honest, because I think for a good delegation, you need to understand what the task ingrains. So what is really part of the task and which steps are really needed to get the task done? Because a good delegation requires that you hand tasks over. You cannot just say, do my social media. You will not be happy with that outcome, straight up. I had customers complaining like, why are they not doing what they say? And I'm asking like, how much information did you give them? Well, they shall do it. Did you give them a template? Did you give them like, what is your like words you don't want to see on your social media account? What is your core message of your business that every post has to be checked? And I would never say to anybody, delegate immediately everything away and don't look at it. That's not how delegation works.
Right.
Delegation means
Exactly.
I have a responsibility. I hand that responsibility to somebody else, but it's my job to follow up on that. So I need to make sure, and especially in the beginning, you need correction loops. You need to say, before you post on social media, send it to me. And then I want to review it. And when I have a feeling that the person really understands the concept and I have to do less and less correction, then it can go out by themselves and they can do it without further necessities. And I can just check in once in a while and see if everything is on track. But you need to invest the time in front. And that is really an investment. Don't consider it as a cost, because many people complain, yeah, but when I start delegating, it takes more time. In the beginning, yes, because you will have to look with it and somebody else has to do it. But as they learn it, they will get much, much faster. And the more you can rely on them, the more you can focus on other things. So it is really an investment and it is really worth it.
Right. And I wrote down a lot of things while you were talking. I love the phrase, inspect what you expect. If you give somebody work to do, you have to inspect it when you get it back. But if my
Absolutely.
expectations are in my mind and I didn't tell you what I needed done in detail, the inspection is going to go horrible. It's going to have to go back for revisions and et cetera. So another thing I would point out, I thought of, is if you're going to use a VA, make sure you use the same one. This way they're kind of getting trained over time. Or like you said, make sure you have a rock solid template of, when somebody does my social media, this is how it needs to be done. Here's the voice of my brand. Here's my brand colors. Here's things I don't want posted. For me, because a lot of what I do is kind of like pro bono in a way. I'm not making money off of anything. So like you said, only do things that, where you're making money. Well, for me, I'm just doing this because I like to get knowledge out there, and I don't want to hire somebody to do my social media because I'm not going to make money to pay somebody to do that. It'd be just paying my, just money I'm making from my other job to pay for this other thing that I'm doing. And then I feel like I don't have time to create these templates either. So I'm in the boat of a lot of people, but then again, I can just stop doing what I'm doing and it doesn't affect my income.
Exactly. And the point is those templates. I mean, it's really important. Like I had one time with one of our interns, a very big discussion, because I know how to do those templates and they were just not reading it. So what I did with him, I was sitting down and was like, show me exactly where you got wrong. Why did you come on the idea that you had to do it it like this, because also in terms of communication, if the other person doesn't understand it, it is my fault. Even if my template is rock solid, it is still my fault to check if what the other person understood is what I really meant. So I had to sit down with this person and say, okay, show me exactly where you came on the idea that this is not really what you were supposed to do. Also, how could this outcome happen? Because you need to also understand, especially when you want to work longer term with somebody else, and especially VAs, I mean, you have to understand also the motivation of VAs. They often work on many different projects. So what I would recommend you is find out what they like doing and where they would like to improve themselves. Because if you can give them such type of tasks and develop their skills, they will be much more likely to do this for you. I also have another example. I have worked with one of my clients, and they had a VA on a part-time basis, and the VA lives in, I'm not really sure if it was the Philippines, but somewhere in Southeast Asia, and they were paying, I think, 200 euros a month, so like $220. So not so much, and she was working like, I don't know, 20 hours a week or something like this. And they realized that she was not that engaged anymore. So they realized she's not that available anymore like they're used to. So what they did is they started a conversation, like, what's going on? Why are you not available anymore? Like, what changed? And she said, like, her husband lost her job because of Corona. And the husband was working on such cruiser ships, and so right now he's locked down at home, and they lost the income. So she has to take on more work to cover the income. And what she asked, and this is very smart, I mean, especially in Southeast Asia, they don't earn that much. She was, how much do you need in a month that you can survive? And then she said, okay, they're paying her now, I think 450.
Right.
And now she's full-time there. She doesn't have to split up between 20,000 different jobs. She can live from the money. She can finance the whole family. She doesn't have to focus on 20 different things. So it's a win-win-win.
Right. Yeah. As long as number one, the business owner can afford it, and then number two, it's bringing back income in some manner to help pay for that. Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
And she's brilliant. I mean, I worked with her already, so I mean, I had touch points with her. She's brilliant. Of course, I would invest in somebody like that who's doing such a great job. And I mean, it's still compared. I mean, if I would hire somebody in Germany, this would be a much, much different price point. But for what she's doing, she's brilliant. She's thinking ahead. She wants to do that, and this is what I mean. If you develop people and they like working with you, they are also willing to put off other things. Maybe she could earn more money with the other things. I don't know. But she decided to go that because that is something she enjoys doing. And I think that's also a responsibility as the owner to understand what is the trigger points of people. Why do they want to work with me? Or is it really just a transaction? Because that would not really be recommendable.
Yeah, you need to find somebody that's bought into what you need to have done. And there are affordable virtual assistants out there. Make sure you just do some research and find somebody you can train, especially for those. Start them out with simple tasks and build them up, because then you'll get them cheaper. And then over time, I would reward them. But I want to back up, because you were talking about when you create these tasks and you give them the descriptions, et cetera. If they fail, it's your fault. That, when it comes to leadership and management, when somebody fails, as a leader, as a manager, you need to take extreme ownership and say, where did I fail? And either explaining the task or giving resources to somebody to do the task. And that's what managers and leaders do. Effective managers and leaders do all the time, is they look at themselves and say, what can I do better? What should I have done better? How can I change? It's the same thing as a business owner. You need to look at it that way. I know sometimes it's hard to find good talent, and you're going to blame the person that's working for you if they don't do something right. But look at, did I train them right? Did I give them the right resources? Hey, I wanted somebody to put a wall up in my house, but I didn't give them a hammer. I gave them a pen and staples, right? Yeah, that's not going to work. You didn't give them the right tools. This has been great. We've been going for a little while. I like to keep my episodes a little bit short. I think I see a follow-up episode in the near future, because there's just so much knowledge that you have that I want to extract. When we were talking before we started recording, there were some other items that I wanted to get in the show, but I feel like we can go on for like probably a 1 to 2 hour episode, which would be awesome, but that's a lot to edit and it's a lot to consume. But Mona, what I'd love to do is get you on in the future. But what I want you to do is tell people, how can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you? And if they wanted to work with you, how does that look?
Yes. So I also enjoyed this a lot. This is, as you said, it could go for hours. I would be really enjoying this. You can pretty much find me on any social media. So I'm really easy. I'm very easy to Google. So you just type in my name. You pretty much find me all over. So I'm of course on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. On Instagram, we're at Work on Your Business, but this is more like a fun project, to be very honest. So this is my personal challenge to see how far I can go with Instagram without paying any money. So that's my personal
Awesome.
challenge. But on
Support her on
Facebook,
Instagram.
yeah. So it's on Facebook and on LinkedIn. But of course, we also have a website, Work on Your Business. It's with dashes in between, so work dash on dash. But I'm going to send you the link also that we can link it in
Right.
the
All
description,
be in
of
the
course.
show notes, folks.
Exactly. And if you want to, of course, what I usually offer to my clients or also to prospects or people who want to get to know me, I'm offering a free 30-minute session. Usually we solve problems in that session right away. So it's not like a typical sales call, I just really demonstrate you what I can do for you. So if you feel stuck in your business or you're not really sure, I mean, many of my clients have the issue saying, I don't really know where to start. Like, I feel like I could be more productive, but I don't really know where to start. We can have this conversation in 30 minutes and I can really figure out where exactly you should be starting. I can give you a plan that you can implement already. And then you can decide. You can, of course, with that plan, go ahead, move it yourself, no problem. I would be the first one cheering for you if you're successful. Absolutely, I appreciate that highly if you take that knowledge and implement it. But if you say like I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed and maybe it's not a primary focus, I totally also get it. There are different ways of working with me, and we can discuss this then on the call if you wish to. And of course, I send you the link also to my calendar that you can schedule right in if you want to.
Awesome. Yeah, everything will be in the show notes, folks. And if that session is as good as this episode was, I think you'll be on your way to being more and more productive and successful. So with that, folks, we're going to see you next week. But if you want to hear previous episodes, head over to hankhoffmeier.com/Alexa. I'm on iTunes, Google Play Store. I'm in Spotify. And if you head over to my YouTube channel, I'm going to start posting these again on YouTube, the actual videos, not just the audiograms, and check out some of the other videos I have going on. But until next week, folks, happy marketing.